Okay, welcome back. Once again, this is a growing process, so I'm hoping this will work well. We have all week to make sure that we get to the point where you can build your own feature branch off of the development branch of my repository. A repository is what we call a space where the code is held on the cloud, okay? We're going to use a program called GitHub. So right now you're looking at GitHub. I had to open it in the guest window because obviously mine always goes to my own stuff. But one of the things you're going to need to do today is make sure you start a GitHub account. You'll notice that the computers in the school have GitHub, the GitHub client already installed, but we're probably going to have to add some more things to that for this to work. So with this is GitHub. You're going to create and sign up with a GitHub account. That's your first assignment. Now this really won't take very long today, but using your school email, I want you to create a username that makes some sense, okay? Like maybe you can make it like C. Donnan or something like that. I mean, your first initial and your last name, something that I'll be able to recognize. Don't make it like Anime Lover 26 or something like that. Try and keep it so it represents who you are. That way I can see who's working on their assignments in the branch system. Okay, so you're going to create a GitHub account. That's one of the first things you're going to have to do today. Then when you create a username, you're going to take that username and you are going to put it in the assignment for today, which is just a text box. Okay, the next thing you're going to learn or going to use and download is Git for Windows, which is gitforwindows.org. You're going to download this and we are going to install it on your laptop and on the desktops if it's not already installed. Finally, we're going to get Git large file storage, Git LFS. You're going to download that and open it up, because what that does is it allows us to save larger files. You see, most source control deals with tiny little programming files that are just literally a few kilobytes. But with games, we're dealing with 3D models and textures and sprites and all sorts of stuff. And those files can get really large. So we need something that can manage those large files. All right, so when those three pieces are done, come back. So get that done and come back. Okay, so now you're back. So now what we're going to do is look at how GitHub works. Okay, now once again, we've gotten this to work this year, but it's been very shaky. So we will continue. You must pay a lot of attention to make sure everything works appropriately. So I've made two accounts. I have one for my son, Reese Donnan. I have one for myself. So my account is CN Donnan. This is my account, okay? It has all the different organizations and different repositories that I have. I can jump to all these different repositories. So right here is the Game Design 2D repository. Once you get your account, I am going to send you an email through GitHub that will ask you to join, act as a collaborator on my repository. Okay, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to I want you to join it so that you can branch off a feature. So right now I create another account. So Reese has invited me to work to work on his, which is just like how you will be invited to work on mine. You should get an email like this. It says Reese Donnan has invited you to collaborate, except it'll say CN Donnan or has invited you to collaborate on your 2D game design. Okay, I'm going to view the invitation. I'm going to accept the invitation just like you will accept my invitation to you, and now you will have the opportunity to work on this. Now this is called Git test because I needed a version for you guys to see how it works. Okay, so he created this on his account, so he has all of the repository on his own. I made it some sort of extra weird game. So from here, under code, this green button, I click on that. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to open with GitHub Desktop. All right, and here's the repository, and I'm going to clone the repository from the online service onto my local machine. I clone it like that. So, and it's going to put it under Unreal Projects Git Test. So now I'm switching to the dev branch. So the dev branch is what I can pull my own feature from. I'm going to create a new branch, and this branch I'm going to call my own name. So on his account, I'm going to call my own name. So let's call it C. Donnan branch. It's based on dev. We always pull off that. So I'm going to publish that branch. And now it's going to push up that published branch. So now I can adjust and work on this from here on out. So I'm going to open that. You'll notice that Git Test shows up right away. So I can now double click this. Game Design 2D is what you will find. You're looking for Game Design 2D. This is my example to show you how this works. When I double click on this, I should get a top-down template that I set up on my son's account. I have now pulled what he's worked on. So he set up the account, he set up the top-down template. I did, but you get it. I'm pulling that down to my computer so I can now edit it and push changes back to my own branch. Once all the changes that I make are finished and I'm happy with them, I can ask to merge my branch, which is the C. Donnan branch, with the development branch, the dev branch. Therefore, I will take all the changes that I did and push them into the development branch. If there are any conflicts, so there are two files that maybe were manipulated by two different users, we'll have to determine which ones to use. So even though it's going to be useful to work separately on two different pieces, you've got to make sure that you're not manipulating the same file, because that can cause trouble. So make sure as you pull things, your programmer will be almost always just pulling blueprints. Your level designer, your game designer, will be pulling mostly map assets and building off those map assets. So realistically, you can pull individual files, work on them, push them back up, and it doesn't really interact or cause problems with the other two, with the two files. Okay, so you'll notice that this did build out like I wanted. Oops. So everything looks good. Up here under source control, I need to double check and connect to source control. Now that I've pulled down this branch, I need to make sure I can connect to source control. So I click this, I go to connect to source, and we're going to change from provider to none. So now it's Git. The Git path, if you've installed those other programs, under the D drive, you can find Git. If I click Git, and then I look for binaries, I find git.exe and click OK. So that, once I put D program files git bin git.exe, it notices the root of the repository is still Unreal Projects Git Test, and then I can hit accept settings. And now it says connection to source control was successful. So now, let's say I'm going to move something. So I'm going to take one of these files and move them. So I'm going to move that. I'm going to move that. And then I'm going to save. All right, so now I've moved some stuff. I've made some changes, and now I'm going to submit to source control. Okay, it says checking for assets. It says these files have been changed. I'll say moved some blocks. Submit. Checking files into source control. So now I've committed those two changes to C. Donnan branch. Now I come back here to GitHub Desktop, and it says, hey, you've got some stuff you need to change. So now that I've saved stuff, I need to push things to the origin. So if I push commits to the origin, I can hit push, and now it's going from my computer pushing up to the internet where the whole thing is saved. Okay, and you'll notice it's uploading just the files that were changed. So if we go in here, we can actually see which files were actually changed. once it gets uploaded. So it's done. History. So I moved some blocks. So I changed this file by that much. So it changed just a little bit, right? And I changed, both of these files were changed. Okay, so now my son's computer, I can go to his and I can pull the file back. So when I go to his account, I can actually see that there's new information and that I need to download those changes. So what I do is I can pull and fetch origin. When I fetch the origin, I get the newest, most up-to-date file on his account. He's going to get the new file with those 2 blocks that are automatically moved. So therefore, this eliminates all of the issues we've had before with, like, I know you weren't in the class probably, but all the issues we had before with taking a thumb drive and trying to get, like, work on something and then move it over and see if it works, and all that stuff is out the window now. All we have to do is have our own branch. Now, eventually, what we do is we have our branch, and we need to push it up to the development so that it overwrites the development. So now I'm going to create a pull request. What this will do is it'll allow me to take my current file and request to merge it into the dev branch. So my C.NET branch is going to get merged into. So I hit pull request and it brings me to here. Now it's asking to compare main, which is not what I want. I want the dev. I'm going to look at dev and compare it to C.NET branch. And it says I can merge these because they can automatically be merged. So when I create a pull request, I can merge them automatically. I hit confirm merge. So now we have merged into dev from C.NET branch. So C.NET branch now has been pushed into development. So with this process, the Game Design 2D, you should have your current branch will be developed. And it should be the default branch you pull from. When you go to create your own branch, you're going to go to branch, new branch, and you're going to call it your name. So first, last, create branch, and it's checked out of develop. And then you'll publish that branch back up on GitHub. Once you do that, we should be able to transfer files back and forth as you work on this and make things, pull down different changes that I make, and you can push up changes that you make. Now we will all be on the same Game Design 2D project. The difference is you will have your own character, you'll have your own maps and stuff like that, so we can try and work this out from here. So that's the plan for the next 2 or 3 weeks, to try and implement GitHub and start building out the code base for our game, which will be built in blueprints. All right, so that's it. At this point, you've created a GitHub account, you've downloaded Git large file storage, gitforwindows.org, and you've downloaded the GitHub program, and you've created a GitHub account so that you can work on this project from here on out. Now, eventually you'll have your own projects in small groups, and you'll work within your own small groups. For now, we're all going to work off of my large project, and it should be okay. At least we're going to work at it, and it may be a little bumpy, but we'll get it done. All right. So with that said, I will see your own personal branch by the end of the week. See ya.